R.G. Belsky. R.G. is the former managing editor for the Daily News. He has an extensive background in newspapers, magazines, and TV and digital news. He's written the popular Gil Malloy series, which includes The Kennedy Connection and The Midnight Hour. And his latest release in that series is Shooting for the Stars. It was also labeled a must-read by the New York Post. Hi, RG. Thank you so much for being here. Tell me, RG, do you want to go by RG? Do you prefer to go by Dick? What's your preference there?
Well, the story. Yeah, the story on that is Dick Belsky is the name that. Wow, hey, I'm sorry, I'm getting a tremendous amount of feedback here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you okay, actually.
Yeah, I'm hearing everything repeated a couple times, so it's a little hard to.
Okay, everyone, bear with us.
You.
You might actually have an extra page open. Do you only have one of the chats open, or do you have multiple? You might have like BookTrib open, booktrib.com, including the screencast. You should only have the screencast.
I think everything.
Sorry, everyone. Yeah, we've got a little technical difficulty.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes. Is that better?
Okay, let's try it now. Maybe this is better. I don't know.
All right.
Anyway, in answer to your question, let's.
Still getting more feedback?
Everything is being delayed. I'm very sorry. I can hear my voice, like about 10 seconds after I'm saying it. Yeah.
Yeah, you might have another.
I'm going to try again.
Hang on, everyone. We're just trying to see if we can get him to only hear us
once.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else on my screen except the one thing.
Nothing? No, he has the one page open. Maybe just do a quick refresh on the page, RG.
Let me try that.
Sure.
Yeah. Wow, this is not good.
Hold on, everyone. We'll be right back. Sorry about that. You never know with technology, things go wrong.
Right. Okay, I'm back. I don't know.
All right, we've got him back. How do I sound to you?
I'm still getting double. Let me try and talk. I'm getting everything repeated over here, Beth. I'm really sorry to screw this up.
No, that's
everything
okay.
is being repeated several times. Yeah.
You've got to have more than one browser open.
Yeah, then when you originally opened the link, did it open in another browser like Safari, Firefox?
Did your original link open in another browser when you first clicked from the email?
I think
maybe you have it minimized on your computer.
I just shut another thing off here. Hold on. This is really exciting, isn't it?
Talking big things. Everyone's so excited.
All right. This sounds better now.
Better. Okay. Maybe you got the right one closed.
Wow. That was really interesting. I hope if there's anybody left out there listening to this. Yeah. Your question was about Dick Belsky and R.G. Belsky. So Dick Belsky is my journalism name. And that's what I've used at the New York Post, the New York Daily News, Star Magazine, and NBC News. R.G. Belsky is the name I write books by. And the people say, well, why? It's kind of pretentious to call yourself R.G. Belsky. And I say, well, besides the pretentious part is I wrote a series of books about a female protagonist a while back. And I wrote it in the first person. And the publisher decided they wanted to leave it unclear whether I was a man or woman. So they said, why don't we call you R.G. Belsky, and then people won't know. And I said, okay, well, that's not a bad idea. And then, of course, I opened the book, and there's my picture on the cover. So the whole idea was kind of, probably not a good one, but in the end, I stayed with R.G. Belsky.
Okay. So we'll stick with RG for the interview. And speaking of the cover and Shooting for the Stars, this is it. Tell me kind of about the plot and where fans are picking up this Gil Malloy novel.
Yeah, Shooting for the Stars is basically a book about celebrity crime, and I've covered an awful lot of celebrity crime as a journalist at magazine, the Post, the Daily News, and it's about a young movie actress, 22-year-old movie actress, who's kind of like a young Julia Roberts at the height of her career 30 years ago, who gets gunned down on the streets of New York. It's sort of like a John Lennon situation, and the idea is John Lennon was killed by a crazed stalker, Mark David Chapman. And she's shot by a crazy stalker, but the idea is, well, what if that wasn't really what happened? What if there were other things going on in her life? And my character, who's a reporter, starts looking into it. And it not only is it a mystery, but it gives me a chance to talk about the complexities of being a famous celebrity and how all these people seem happy, but they're not happy, and a lot of other things I saw in my years of covering them. So I really get into it's a people always talk about rip from the headlines, and it's not that easy, but I certainly draw on a lot of my real life experiences to create the fictional world in Shooting.
Absolutely. Now, there's something about mystery and the mystery that is involved in celebrity deaths that just keeps people, I don't know, maybe intrigued isn't the right word, but they want to know more. They want to know the whole story. Why do you think that is?
One of the things that I found, and I always say, like most normal crimes are pretty simple. Somebody kills somebody for money or love, and they're convicted, and it's over. Virtually every celebrity crime, there's still questions. We're still talking about. We're still talking about what happened to Natalie Wood. We're still talking about, exactly what happened in the OJ case. We think we know who did it, but like what happened that night. We don't know so many answers about things. And it goes all the way back, if you think about it, to Marilyn Monroe. I mean, more than a half century ago, Marilyn Monroe was murdered. Marilyn was died, and the question is, did she kill herself? Was it an accidental overdose? Was she murdered? We really don't know the answers to that now, and I'm always fascinated because if that story were to happen now with 24-hour cable news and social media, it would be unbelievable. But there is a real fascination with celebrity crime that I've always felt, and that's why I thought it would be a real good topic for a Mr.
Do you think that, and I'm going to pull literally ripped from last week's headlines, do you think that the mystery kind of aids in these conspiracy theories we're finding these days online? I mean, the one right now, I'm sure that you've heard of, Katy Perry and John Benet Ramsey, and you were a part of reporting that whole story. So, the original story. What do you think it is that's aiding these theories? Is it because that mystery is still out there?
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think it's a different. Conspiracy theories have been around for a long time. From UFOs or whatever. And the difference, of course, I think, is there's certain conspiracy theories that are legitimate. I mean, my first book, the first in the Gil Malloy series, is called The Kennedy Connection. And it basically is about what I consider the greatest unsolved murder of all time, which is the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Now, you can only believe that if you don't believe the Warren Commission that Lee Harvey Oswald left alone, and I don't, and 80% of Americans don't. So there I believe there was a conspiracy, and I talk about it in the book in a fictional sense. But then there's a lot of other fictional things that just get crazy. I do believe man walked on the moon. I don't believe, it's the Katy Perry thing. So conspiracies can vary in a lot of ways, but there's nothing wrong with a good conspiracy. And I mean, look at the X Files. I mean, they made they're back again. They get rid of the conspiracy UFOs.
Right, exactly. So how have you intertwined your background in media and celebrity into your books and into your series?
Well, I mean, the simple answer when people say to me, authors always get, Mr. Rose, where do you get your ideas from? And, for me, it's always like, hey, I just went to the office. I go to the newsroom. There's plenty of stories there. But like I said, it's not just a simple rip from the headlines. Like, oh, I'm going to write a novel about, because O.J. Simpson case, I'm going to write a novel like that. Because that's not a novel. It's a book. What you need to do is what I always like to refer to as the what if. And like the John Lennon case is a good example, which is John Lennon was murdered by Mark David Chapman, and that's pretty clear cut. But what if it wasn't clear cut? And that's kind of the basis of where my book goes with the murder of an actress, a big celebrity, which everybody thinks is a crazed stalker, but then a reporter starts digging, and like we all know now from the movie Spotlight what happens with a really good investigative reporter. But that's a different kind of, that's an investigative reporter that took, that investigation took like 4 years to do. Where I come from, the tabloids, you don't get 4 years to do a story.
Right, exactly.
You get about, a day if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's those elements that I try and put into my books. And, I figure with my background, the one thing people can't do is say, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about in the newsroom, because I spend enough time in newsrooms that I feel there's a real air of authenticity about it.
Definitely. Now, how much would you say Gil Malloy is based on you and your experiences, and how much is fiction?
Okay, well, what he is, people always, everybody, so many people I work with, both men and women, are convinced that Gil Malloy is based on them. And the answer, and I generally, sometimes I'll say, oh, yeah, it's really you. But the truth is, it's not one person. I worked with an awful lot of people, men and women, over the years in journalism. And there is an intensity, especially in New York, to be on the front page, to not get beat on the story. Your life becomes obsessed with this. And as a result, your personal life kind of gets screwed up a bit. But the professional life is just, you're always living on the edge.
Yeah.
And you have great talented people, but they're also greatly flawed. And I tried to combine all that into Gil Malloy. And I think it makes him an interesting character. It makes him a great reporter. One of the great reviews I got on a reviewer said, Gil Malloy is really a lousy husband. He's not much of a friend, but he's a hell of a terrific reporter. And I knew so many people like that, and maybe my life to some degree was a little bit like that.
Right.
That I tried to draw that in, which is what it's like working in a New York City newsroom. You're chasing big story after big story.
Definitely, absolutely. So on this topic of tabloid journalism, celebrity crime, how have you seen it change over the years? What do you think about the current place of journalism, and has anything really surprised you?
Well, it's changed. Celebrity journalism especially has changed. All journalism has changed dramatically. I mean, but certainly celebrity journalism. I mean, just say journalism in general. So when I was at the New York Post in the 80s with Rupert Murdoch, I mean, we sold 1 million copies a day. And, people, they didn't get their news from anywhere else. I mean, there was no internet. There barely was 24-hour cable news. CNN had just started. People bought the newspapers. Clearly, that's changed. And the same with celebrity crime. My first week at the Star magazine, I think we sold 3.5 million copies of the magazine. I think the Inquiry sold about 4 million. And now they sell probably like, I guess, a couple 100,000. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But, certainly the internet, TMZ, things like this, where people get their news from all these other places.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't want to come across as somebody that, like one of these, a lot of old journalists are like, oh, this is terrible, the good old days. I have spent the last 6 years of my life working at NBC News and NBC local stations where I do digital. And there's some great stuff you can do. So when stories are happening, you can cover them live. You can, when I was there when the Boston Marathon happened, and as it was happening, we were able to get the news out to people like on the spot. How many are dead? How many are injured? What's happening? And that's just a terrific thing. And there's so many more outlets now. I mean, there used to be 12 newspapers in New York, then there was 3. Well, now there's like 100, a couple hundred sites that cover, everywhere you go.
Right.
Any site, you get it. So there's an awful lot of good things happening in journalism now. I know it's kind of romantic to, remember the old days. But journalism is journalism, and you still follow the same rules in terms of what's good, what people care about. And also, the facts, the checking. I mean, if you get a story wrong on the internet, you get a story wrong in a print newspaper, it's still wrong. And so accuracy is still a big deal.
Absolutely. You wrote a lot of in-depth pieces with your time at Daily News, and it's kind of, has kind of almost gone by the wayside a little bit in terms of social media and blogging that we're seeing today. What's your go-to source today for tabloid journalism or celebrity in-depth stories, and what are you just like, I stay completely away from these particular places?
You talking about on news sites?
Yeah, online websites.
Oh, I have a wide variety. I don't, it's like in the old days you would read, I read the New York daily news every day and I don't read anything else. You don't need to do that now. So I'll read everything from, I worked at NBC News, so I go to NBC News. I worked at the New York Post and New York Daily News. I'll click on them. I'll go to, sports sites like ESPN, CBS. I'll go to Politico. I'll go to Daily Beast. I'll go to the, Huffington Post. I wake up, I think most people now, and from what I know, they have a routine. They wake up in the morning and they start clicking through sites, and different sites give them different things. And that's something, we didn't have before. Before you went out and bought a newspaper, and, I don't know how, to some degree, how we did it, because, you didn't know what was going on until you went out on the street and found a newsstand that was open. Now, you look at your phone, you look at your iPad, or you turn on a computer, and you're caught up, in minutes on everything that's going on.
Right, exactly. What did it mean in the heart of, or even in the startup of celebrity crime and tabloid reporting to get that big story? What was that, as opposed to, has that idea of the big story now kind of changed?
Well, I mean, I think, one of the best examples of the big story in celebrity tabloids was, OJ.
Right.
I was there when from the very first moment, and people don't remember that when we first heard about the murder, it wasn't that big a deal because it was OJ's ex-wife, and nobody really thought he was a suspect. And then they began finding, they found blood, and we're all probably watching the FX series.
Yes, so good.
And then the white Bronco chase just kind of gripped the nation. And so for them, for about the next 2 years, we had it on page 1 of the Star magazine for.
Uh-oh.
She knew it became OJ's Crazy Lifestyle. It became Kato, Caitlin. And, I mean, there were two things. Number one, when you work at a celebrity magazine, it's about the money because you sell based on what people care. So you only put on the cover what people care. And you don't do a lot of advertising. So, there is a financial thing. But for the journalists, they don't think about that.
Right.
You just think you want to be first with the story. So when we would break a big OJ story, we would be like, oh, wow, we got him. And then if the Inquirer or somebody else broke one, the next time. I actually have a bizarre thing with OJ because, people again forget like what a beloved figure he was in the 70s.
Yeah.
And back in the 70s, I actually wrote a teen sports book called America's Hero, O.J. Simpson, about what a wonderful guy he was. And that book is still in libraries, so it's a little embarrassing now, but it's basically how this is the all-American hero, O.J. Simpson.
Oh my goodness, wow.
For a while, people will say, I saw this book of yours, and I'll be, look at it, It's a little, I would say at this point, it's a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. We talked about, I've asked you at this point how maybe it's changed for the worse, but what about for the better? I know you spoke of the Boston Marathon and being able to report right away. Is there anything else that you see that, makes you hopeful for the future of journalism and where it's going right now?
Well, I'm very hopeful for the future of journalism, and it's not like it never changed. I mean, I go back to the days when journalism was linotypes and typewriters, and there were no computers and automation. And I was at the New York Post when it changed to become automated. We went to computers and lost all that. And I remember then people saying like, "Oh, this isn't going to work. It's terrible." Everybody was against it. So you see these changes, happening. I'm just somebody who kind of embraces most of the changes, and I've always found it made my life as a journalist a lot easier. As I say, I spent 6 years working in digital journalism at NBC, really up until last year, and it's great. I mean, you can do so many things that you can't do with a newspaper.
Right.
You can update, and you can, and in today's world, which is so instantaneous, I mean, that's the problem that print newspapers have today, and in terms of trying to adjust to a digital product. But when digital journalism works, it's great. You get, the stories are the same. The people are still writing the same things. The pictures are still the same. You got video that you don't necessarily have that you don't have in print. But you also, like I say, if something happens, you can tell people immediately, and that's a great thing to have.
Absolutely.
So I think that whether there'll be print newspapers, obviously a lot of them have been dying now, but I think journalism. I have no problem with telling people, like, if you love journalism, go into it. I did it in a different kind of journalism when I was young, and I think people can still do it today.
Absolutely. Did you ever feel or have that moment where you felt like the story you were going after or what you were being told or asked to run just crossed the line for you? Did you ever have that moment of like, you know what, this is a little too far?
No, I mean, no, it's not something. I know there's. I mean, integrity is important. It's really important to me that that you're honest with the readers and stuff. But most of the people you work with, that I've worked with, are also very dedicated and honest, to me. And but in the end, you're basically what you do every day is you try and get the story out there. And it's look, I really admire. I love the movie Spotlight. Obviously, there's such a romanticism about all the presidents in, and there's a lot of people that go into journalism with this idea like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do something good. I'm going to help, and that's all very noble. We all want to make contributions. But the truth of the matter is, for most of us, and for me, the job is just day in and day in out telling people the story, getting the news out there, and that is such an all-encompassing job without necessarily deciding, well, like, I think this is a good story, or I think this goes too far. I think you're basically just putting facts out there and letting people decide. So no, there's not really time to do a lot of soul searching about how is this story worth the thing. It's you make judgments and you move quickly. And the great thing about journalism, if you're wrong and you come back the next day and do it again and try and do it.
Absolutely. What are some of the highlights for you? What were some of the stories that you were a part of or covered that stick out the most? I mean, we've spoken about OJ. Any others?
Yeah. Well, most of them, unfortunately, of course, are tragic stories because that's what big stories are.
Right.
You don't put good news stories on page one. I mean, I was at the Post when Son of Sam was roaming the streets of New York, and that in terms of a novelist, that Son of Sam really is the basis for almost every serial killer novel that's been done since then. A guy killing women for absolutely no reason whatsoever other than like some sort of sexual thrill, city in terror, sending notes to the press. I mean, how many times have you seen this in movies or novels? And that all comes from that Son of Sam, so that was a big thing. The other story that was huge, it had a lot of impact, was the death of Princess Diana in the car thing. And one of the reasons there is that the press was actually blamed for that at the beginning. The paparazzi was blamed. A lot of people, would get mad at us at Star Magazine, even though we were nowhere near that. We were like an American. But it was like, well, you guys killed Diana, you chased her, and she died. And then it turned out that wasn't the case, that the driver was, impaired and made mistakes. And or then you get into the conspiracy theories there. Like, well, maybe somebody had her rubbed out or whatever. But that had a lot of impact on journalism. A lot of people turned on tabloids and stuff because they loved Diana so much. So that was a big story. The one that the funny thing is, like I said, I've worked on all these stories, and clearly there's 9/11 and the 2000 election that went on and forever, and so many big stories. But it's funny, if you Google my name and this whole long career, the thing that comes up most is Headless Body and Topless Bar, which is the famous New York Post headline. And I didn't even write that, but I was there that day, and my job was to make sure, believe it or not, my job was to make sure that it was a topless bar, because I couldn't write, you can't write a headline that says Headless Body and Topless Bar. Somebody had robbed the bar and cut somebody's head off, and you couldn't write Headless Body and Topless Bar unless you knew it was a topless bar. So I had to spend hours sending reporters and researching until we found a sign that said inside topless dancing tonight. And so at that point, tabloid history was made. And so for all the noble things I've done in my life, that particular story I'm probably more associated with than anything, which is fine.
Of course, isn't that always the way? What are kind of some of the disadvantages? I know we spoke about the immediacy, but is there anything else that pops into your mind as far as past tabloid practices or the way celebrity crime was reported back then?
Well, and again, there's different types of celebrity crime. I mean, I don't want to, people think of tabloids and they think of, you know, when I was at Star Magazine, for instance, we broke the first Bill Clinton sex scandal story, which was Jennifer Flowers, which turned into a huge political thing.
Right.
And I think the Clinton response was, oh, I don't respond to publications that put, Elvis is alive and UFOs on the cover. Well, we never did that.
Right.
The next story we won. There are tabloids that are kind of just like wacky stuff like that. When and tabloids are different kinds now. But there's in the entertainment magazine, those have been to People magazine, and some of the others is like market. But when I was at Star, we were news people. We had a lot of people that had come from a newspaper background, and some magazines. And we covered stories. Now we pushed the stories very hard, and we were very aggressive with them, and we tried to figure out what angle people wanted on them. And a lot of people, especially in the entertainment business, didn't like that. But we were doing good with. I used to always say that covering a celebrity story was like covering a police story. We would do the same basic procedure to do a celebrity story. I mean, when I say like a celebrity story, it could be about is somebody cheating on their wife and dating somebody else, but we would investigate the same way you would investigate a police story. So, but and it's being done the same way today, but differently. I mean, TMZ does that.
Yeah.
And TMZ, whatever you think of TMZ does, incredible reporting. And when you see a story on TMZ as an exclusive, you're pretty sure it's right because they're doing good reporting.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as I know that you have a blog on your website, rbelsky.com, so everyone can go visit that.
www.rgbelsky.com. Yes.
Right. And what else are you working on as far as journalism? Are you writing for other sites? What's happening now for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm basically just finished the new Gil Malloy novel. So the first Gil Malloy novel came out in 2014, which is The Penchant, and The Shooting for the Stars, the one that came out. And I've got a new one that's coming up at the end of this year. So I just basically finished that and turned it in. And we talked about Son of Sam, and this is kind of my kind of twist on Son of Sam, I guess. The novel's called Blonde Ice, and it's about a female serial killer, a beautiful blonde serial killer, who basically is killing single men in New York, much in the same way that like a Son of Sam was killing women, because there really has never been a female. There've been a lot of male serial killers for thrill. The female serial killers have always been like a nurse who kills somebody in a hospital, people in hospitals. But the Ted Bundys and Son of Sams have always been men. So this is a serial killer who kills kind of for the thrill of it and kills men. So you have men living in terror in New York of this beautiful blonde woman who's killing people much in the same way women have in some ways through serial killers in the past. So I think it's a fascinating concept. It's called Blonde Ice, and of course the man who has to get to the bottom of that is Gil Malloy, my reporter, and so I finished that, and but yeah, I'm writing for a number of blogs. One blog I write for regularly now is was on a blog. Really, it's an online publication. It's a big thrill, and that's put out by the International Thrillers Writers Organization.
Great.
Huge organization.
Absolutely.
And so I get to interview some big best-selling thriller authors, and this week on Barry. And it's great because I get to read a lot of books that I might not have read otherwise, and to connect with some people who are very, very good at what they do.
That's awesome. So will you be at Thriller Fest? Will you be attending?
Yes,
Great. So maybe we'll see you there because we will be there.
Thriller Fest is a really terrific event. I've been going to a number of mystery events and stuff. But Fest is in New York every summer, and I went last year for the first time. And it's great. Also, because I live in New York, it's easy.
Yeah, hop, skip, and jump.
I take the 4 lines from my house. It's like one stop. So,
Perfect.
But it's some really big names are there, and no, it's terrific. So
absolutely.
If anybody likes thrillers and they want to attend it,
definitely ITW is the place to get your thriller fill. So I want to talk quickly, excuse me. You've written full novels, you've written novellas. Also, there's a novella for the Gil Malloy series.
The novella is called The Midnight Hour, by the way.
The Midnight Hour.
It's available on Amazon.
Did you find that there's a different process in writing the two, a full length and a novella? Did you approach it at all differently?
Yeah, I actually really loved writing a novella. I wish there was
Mm.
more of a market for them. It's not. You know, the idea was I would come out with the first book, and then there'd be another book a year later, and they'd come out with a novella in
Right.
between so people could get used to the character. And I'd never written one, but I loved it because it's kind of like for being a tabloid writer where you write quickly.
Yeah.
It's no frills, you know. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's about half the size of a novel. So you still need the same plot, and you still need the same main character. But in a novel, you have like various you take side trips to this and that. You don't have time for that. So you kind of go from point A to the end very
Right.
quickly. And as a journalist, I actually I really loved doing that. But even in terms of writing novels, I mean, uh, and this is, I'm sure there are people who write better novels than me, but I'm able to write them very quickly and straightforwardly because of my
Hmm.
journalism background.
Yeah.
As I sort of say, I write. People say, "Oh, I took years." Like I can write. The heart of writing a novel can be done in a few months because I kind of write novels the way I write tabloid stories. I do them fast,
Right.
boom, 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 and that's what I've done for a living all my time. Now, I'm sure there are many people who write different ways and write really well, but
Mhm.
I couldn't do that.
So we do have a little time. It took us a few minutes there in the beginning. We had some technical difficulties. So I'd love to get to a couple of viewer questions. Um, we have from Jocelyn. She wants to know, have you ever been in a dangerous situation covering a story?
I haven't. I saw that question when I logged on, and I was thinking about it. Jacqueline, is that who did it? And that's an obvious question. I mean, one of the reasons I guess I haven't is because I have really, other than a few times at the beginning of my career, have never really been a reporter that much out in these things. I've been an editor,
Okay.
but I have had the responsibility of sending a lot of reporters into those situations. So I really understand the importance of how of that because
Mm.
it can be and it can be editors who can be irresponsible about it. And I'm always really aware that like when we're covering like 9/11 or war, we had people embedded in Iraq and things like that. When you're sending somebody to do something like that, these are people. They have lives, they have families, and it becomes about more than just the story. Uh, so I never have, but I've sent a lot of people into dangerous situations,
Mm.
and I've dealt with people in dangerous situations. And I think I've always tried to, uh, to understand and give them the best possible story I can.
Mm.
The only really dangerous situation I've ever been in was I was in Vietnam, but that was before, that was a different situation. I was a military journalist,
Right.
and I was in Vietnam, where you're always kind of in a dangerous situation.
Oh, how interesting. Um, so what about Brian is actually asking, what advice do you have for a journalism student wanting to get into the field? Is there anything that you can share?
It's the same advice I would give to somebody who says they want to write a novel.
Mm.
Just do it. Just keep writing. Just keep trying. I mean, I know that's really it. If you can, it's still worth going to journalism schools. I mean, I went to journalism school. I actually learned more in journalism school working for the paper because we had a daily paper than I did in the classes. But immersing yourself in that. There are some, and there are some really good, graduate schools. I know that when we were hiring at NBC, we would go to schools and look for people. It's very competitive now,
Yes.
but there's also a lot of areas. So you might not be able to get a job at the New York Daily News, the New York Post, the New York Times, or NBC, but there's tons of websites.
Totally.
Um, you have so many more opportunities. So everybody, has this kind of despair about journalism, but there's an awful lot going on out there. It's just different. And I would just say that the most important thing with being a journalist or with being a novelist is don't really think about it too long. Don't really talk about it too long. Just do it. And if it doesn't work, you don't like it,
Right.
step away. But it's all about what you can do. So to start working somewhere. If you're working at a little weekly paper, just do it. I started on a weekly paper. I started on a little papers in New Jersey. Don't think you're going to get a job at NBC News.
Absolutely. And also, I was a journalism student, so completely Excellent advice. Completely agree. You got to start somewhere. So journalism school it is.
And it does, it does no good. It's like the publishing industry. Everybody despairs about this and books.
Right.
It doesn't really do any good to despair about the state of it. It's what it is, and so you just need to do the.
Absolutely, absolutely. RG, thank you so much for joining us. It has been very interesting, very informative. I had a great time. Everyone.
Thank you. And it works even better when we don't hear everything in double.
Absolutely, absolutely. When you don't hear it twice. Shooting for the Stars. It is out now. Everyone go grab a copy. Thank you so much, RG. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, Beth.
Have a great one. Bye, everyone.